Alright, today we're going to be jumping back into the Bitcoin price action because I'm sure there's a lot of panic in the markets right now, and I'm going to give you some good news on why you don't really have to worry, why we kind of expected this to happen after we did fail, reclaiming that range to the upside, right? We had those poor lows on the chart. This isn't anything that is changing my thesis on the markets whatsoever, and let's go ahead and talk about the levels that were in fact tapped. We discussed this in yesterday's video on some targets we could be looking out for, and that did happen pretty pixel perfectly, such as this value area low, this purple dashed line on the chart here. That's a previous fixed range from this price action within here. That's the value area low of that is this purple line. And we do see even on like a 5-minute time frame, this was just an extremely quick wick down to this level. But because I had these levels planned out, I was actually able to see this live, and I got in a long position right here on the charts. If you don't believe me, join my Discord, ask for me to share that position with you. I'm not going to share it right now though, because I need a VPN for my exchange, and I don't have my VPN turned on this computer because that would interrupt the 24-hour live stream that I host for the Crypto Eagles VIP. Speaking of that, Crypto Eagles VIP, that's where we kind of drawed out these levels. I kind of gave some trade setups in here, and you can see had some boxes of some potential areas of interest. This is about as much as you're going to get when it comes to copy trading. Of course, you have to know the confluences yourself, and I'm never going to give you the exact trade setups. I'm only going to give you some levels that might be areas of interest for you, and then you can decide for yourself if you do want to take the position or not. We're not taking positions with blind limits. That is never something you should do, because I was really expecting this to hold, but you can see we swept all the way down to value area low, which is something we actually kind of expected in yesterday's video, because if we were to have accepted back within value area high, then yes, this would have been your next target. So it does actually make a lot of sense why we came down to this price level. And now that we found nice support on the value area low, the rotation back up to point of control now is what we're going to be watching for. Can we actually flip this into support at that point? Start, just escaping this range. I do think the low is in, if I had to guess, because we swept these lows down here, right? We talked about this as well. If we were going to sweep this, probably wasn't going to be a swing fail here. We were probably going to go all the way down and grab this, and that's exactly what happened, closing out all of those long positions that were opened throughout this range and this uptrend throughout here, while still maintaining the bullish structure. We talked about the fibs, pulling swing low, swing high. We really didn't want to break the golden pocket, and really I didn't even want to go down to that golden pocket, and what we found was very nice support above the 0.5, so still holding that very bullish structure on the higher term time frames. And if we jump out here to even higher term time frames like the weekly, we can see something very, very bullish that I did post in the Discord as well, and this is in the free Discord. So if you guys want just some early TA before I do post it here on the channel, some stuff I will be throwing out for free, absolutely, especially something like this on the higher term time frame. We had this volume node I just talked about real simply. Let's see if we can flip that into support, and it does look like we had done that. We swept it lower than I had expected, right? I said this white line is somewhere where I actually thought we'd find bigger support, because that is the peak of this volume node over here on the weekly time frame. This is a volume profile of this entire macro range here on Bitcoin since all the way back in 2021, and you can see this is quite a large volume node. Price has spent a lot of time and traded with a lot of volume at this level before, so right now is a massive deciding point, right? Are we going to maybe backtest this as resistance and fail this, or are we actually going to confirm this into support and head on up? I do think the latter is definitely more likely here, and actually coming back down to test this instead of just trading on up here like I had actually expected in some of my previous videos is pretty bullish, right? The fact that we had this pullback to confirm that support on that high volume node before heading on up is something I really like to see. So that's really good to see there. Macro support resistance flip level, big volume node in the charts. Let's see how price does react. Once again, it's this dashed white line. So you can see initial rejection actually when we came up to it right here. So we definitely want to get back above this, right? We don't want to just flip that into resistance. We wanted this low to hold at this point. I don't want it, like if we reject this and then come back down to these lower levels at about 52, while certainly it could still be bullish, I would actually be concerned at that point. Right now on the charts, I'm not concerned at all. This is just a bullish correction as far as I'm concerned. If we are to reject this and go down a little bit lower, well, yes, that's still probably fine, and I wouldn't be necessarily just panic selling. I would be much more cautious and a little bit more worried on the charts. But so far so good. I like the reaction we had off value area low. This is something we planned for, and that's really all there is to say when it comes to Bitcoin. Price targets still remain the same. If we are bullish, definitely going to all-time highs. The question is it going to be a swing failure, or is this going to be a proper bull run where we go to multiple six figures? Only time will tell on that. And then of course the third possibility is that this is truly bearish. If we are to reject this, come down lower, yeah, anything is in the cards. A lot of that will depend on what the S&P is doing. And let's go ahead and talk about the S&P and why I'm very bullish here, because the S&P has continued to just shoot up here on price, right? But Bitcoin clearly isn't respecting this, which is something to take note of. Do I think that's necessarily a bearish thing? No, if anything, I think it just means Bitcoin's going to play a pretty big catch-up game when it does decide to flip bullish. But yes, the S&P, in my opinion, is almost certainly going for those all-time highs once again. You can see a massive retrace out of these lows when we had those recessionary fears, getting all the way up above the golden pocket. So this is something that is awesome to see. If this was truly a bearish retracement, price action just wouldn't look like this. It would be rejecting the golden pocket, and it probably wouldn't even make it up there. If we were truly bearish, we would have just fallen here. So this is something that's amazing to see on the S&P. Clearly, big money is not scared, putting their money into indices right now. And I do think a continuation to all-time highs on these indices is going to be a great thing for Bitcoin and a risk on assets such as the Russell 2000. And we do see the Russell has also broken out here. We had talked about if we were able to make a higher high than this, we were probably going to magnet back up into this topside range. Yes, we could reject off the value area low, but at least magnet up higher. And absolutely, we see that we are sending on up here in the Russell in this low volume gap, making those higher lows, higher highs, getting clearly back above these value area highs of the low end range. So let's see, after escaping this range, if we can accept back into this range. This will be the big telltale sign, right? We got two possibilities here, and I definitely want to see the latter of us getting back above that value area low, and for us to potentially head up to make all-time highs on the Russell. That will, of course, send your altcoin market into an alt season, because this is a conglomerate of your risk on assets in the stock market, whereas, of course, your S&P is higher market cap stuff. So I absolutely love what I'm seeing on the stock market. I do believe Bitcoin is going to play a pretty big catch-up game right now, and I would not be surprised if it does go back into honey badger mode and just absolutely go parabolic up into all-time highs once again. And when we do go into all-time highs, I do think more or less an altcoin season is going to take place. And to go along with that thesis, we are seeing some nice confluences, such as Bitcoin dominance continues to make lower lows, lower highs here on the shorter term time frames, right? We go over to the 1 hour, you can see this nice trend down. So let's see if this is to continue, if we are able to actually break down, start falling here. I would assume if Bitcoin starts heading up, we could definitely start to see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin. I know it's been struggling to do that this cycle. Every time Bitcoin goes on a run, it kind of outpaces your altcoins in general, but I do think at some point that's going to flip. And this could definitely be that point in the market where we finally see that money start rotating into risk on assets, especially with the Russell showing extreme strength here after backtesting this range, right? We deviated out, backtest. This is classic Wyckoff accumulation formation in here. We could be in phase E of Wyckoff for the Russell, which could also indicate we're at a similar phase on the altcoin market, sending Bitcoin dominance down to lower lows. So yeah, still very bullish on the charts right now. Let's just watch carefully. You know, we're struggling at a point of resistance right now. Let's see if we can get through this. I would expect by the time I do upload this video, we will be above this level. So let's see if we can actually backtest that back into support and head on up to clear through these topside ranges, and for Bitcoin to resume honey badger mode, where it does just absolutely obliterate those bears. But if you do have any questions about anything I talked about in this video, or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Below that link is my VIP Discord that I touched on at the beginning of this video. It's specifically for leveraged trading. If you're at all interested in that, go ahead, click on it and read more about it. Decide if you think it's worth the money, and it is just $20 for your first month right now. That's a limited time deal only through the month of August. Also down in that description, you'll find a bunch of exchange links, some of which have exclusive limited time deals as well for anyone that uses my referral links. So go ahead, use those links to get some awesome rewards such as deposit bonuses, etc. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.